Imagine waking up, not in a warm bed, but on cold, hard stone, inside a dark cave, with the sound of wind echoing outside. No lights, no comfort, no safety, just darkness and survival. This was the daily life of the first human family. The fire that kept them alive was slowly fading, its glow growing weaker with every passing moment. And with it, their only protection was disappearing. Outside, the world was dangerous. Cold winds, freezing temperatures, and creatures that could hunt them in the dark. So before the fire died, someone had to act, because in this world, there was no second chance. As the first light of day began to appear, the family woke up, not because they were rested, but because they had to survive. Hunger was their first feeling, not comfort, not peace. Hunger. There were no farms, no stored supplies, no easy meals. Everything they ate had to be found or taken from nature. Some stayed behind to protect the children and keep the fire alive. Others stepped outside into the unknown. The cold air hit their faces instantly, their breath visible in the freezing wind. Every step forward was a risk, because they were not alone. The land belonged to powerful animals, large creatures, stronger, faster, more dangerous. So they moved carefully, watching, listening, waiting. Food could come from many places: fruits, roots, plants, hidden beneath the earth. But finding them was not easy. Sometimes they would search for hours and find nothing. And sometimes just enough to survive one more day. But plants were not always enough, so they turned to something more dangerous. They worked together, not as individuals, but as a group, because alone they were weak. But together they had a chance. They observed, they learned, they planned. They understood movement, patterns, timing, and when the moment came, they acted carefully, strategically, as one. Success meant survival. Failure meant hunger or worse. Back at the cave, the rest of the family waited, protecting the young, keeping the fire alive, because fire was everything. It gave warmth in freezing nights. It gave light in endless darkness. And it gave protection from the dangers outside. Children watched and learned, not from books, but from life. They learned how to move, how to listen, how to survive. Every day was a lesson, Every mistake was dangerous. As the sun began to fall, the family returned. Tired, cold, but alive. What they had gathered was shared, because survival was not individual, it was collective. Night was the most dangerous time. Darkness covered the land. Sounds became louder. Shadows became threats. But inside the cave, the fire burned again. Its light pushing back the darkness. The family gathered close, not just for warmth, but for safety. And in those moments, something powerful happened. They communicated, they shared, they connected. This was the beginning of human bonding, of family, of trust. They were not the strongest, they were not the fastest, but they had something no other species had. The ability to care, to work together, to learn. And that changed everything. Because survival was not about strength. It was about adaptation. It was about intelligence. It was about unity. Day after day, they faced the same struggle, the same danger, the same uncertainty, and yet they continued. They adapted, they improved, they survived. And over time, these small steps became something greater. They became human progress. The first human family did not live in comfort. They lived in survival. Every day was earned. Every moment was uncertain. But through all of it,
They stayed together. And that is what made them strong. Because in the end, it was not just about surviving the world. It was about surviving together. And that is how humanity began.